Hiya, today we are in the kitchen and you are currently looking at the tiles that I have on my fireplace in the kitchen. But they're not tiles. If you look really closely, it's actually just a painted piece of MDF that I have then varnished over the top of. And I wanted to show you how I did it. So, here we are. Oh, I've missed. Try that one again. Get it clipped in. So I'm going to be working at the kitchen table just because that's where I started and it's easier than starting and stopping. So you're just going to see my hands today. It's the weekend, we're not worrying about the face. So I'm going to be working today on just a piece of cardboard, just so I can demonstrate. I actually used MDF. You can use plywood if you wanted to. Whatever works for you, whatever you've got in the house really. If you wanted to and you've got planks of wood, you could always work on planks of wood, even cut them to tile size if you want to. Okay, so I have printed out one of the designs I want. Now, if I was doing this, I would print out all of the designs of the tiles that I like. So go online, have a search, see which ones you like. Okay, so I would then mark out the width of my tiles and the spacing, leaving space for grout, which isn't actually grout, it's just beige coloured paint. So I would go along and mark them out properly. Now I'm doing this very, very quickly, just so that you can get an idea. But and then the top of my tile would be approximately, please excuse the clicking, my son is playing with his Nerf guns upstairs. He's having a whale of a time. Right, so this is where I'm going to want my first tile to go. Now I would suggest, oh, I just realised you can't see what I'm doing. There you go, can you see I've marked that square out there? I would suggest you mark out your whole sheet so you know where every single tile is going to go, and then you also know how many different designs you might need. So I've got my design. I am literally going to scribble all over the back of it. Now if you have carbon paper, you know that stuff you used to put through typewriters years and years and years ago, if you have carbon paper you can use that works just, in fact that works better in some ways. And all we're doing is we're transferring the design, which takes some of the fear out of drawing freehand, onto your piece of wood or whatever it is you're using. Okay, so you're scribbling on the back of your design. I'm going to keep saying that because people think I'm nuts when I say to do this, but scribble on the back of your design. Now if you can get a really dark pencil, please do. I've managed to get a B because that's all I could find, believe it or not. In a house full of art supplies, that's all I could find today. Turn it over and place it where you want your tile to be. You are then just going to, holding it nice and firm, trace over your lines for the design. Okay. So I am just drawing over the design as it appears on the picture. Now I'm not going to do the whole thing because you'll get bored daft sitting watching me. But if I do a section of it, then you can see how this works. Now this method is fantastic for all types of things. You can transfer designs onto material before you then start drawing with fabric crayons. If you do bathroom tiles, you can transfer it onto bathroom tiles, just be where you do really have to use like an 8B for it to work on a bathroom tile properly. I've used it before when children have wanted to do their design, they're really, really chuffed with something they've drawn, but they know they can't draw it again. And I've then photocopied it, and they've done this method to copy it, and then maybe where they've coloured it in with felt tips before, maybe they're going to colour it in with colouring pencils or crayons the second time. It's really nice for portfolios, so you can practice with lots of different methods, and then choose which one you're going to use for your final piece. So actually I've nearly finished. Now I've rushed this. I would suggest you take a little bit more time than I have done, because obviously you want your tiles to look neater, although there is something to be said for the rustic look. And I've obviously chopped a bit of my design off, so I'm just going to draw that in. When you remove your picture, like your design, can you see your design has been transferred onto your piece of wood or your piece of card or whatever it is you're using? Now, it's not very dark, so at this point I would go over my lines again, just so that it's easier when I come to painting, and then I would just paint. So, if you want to do a whole sheet of tiles, get all your tiles on, draw them on, paint them all, including the backgrounds, and then do your grout. So I just mixed for my grout white with brown to make a kind of beigey grouty colour. You can get grout in all different colours now, so of course it's entirely up to you what colour you go for in between. And if you can't freehand a straight line, which, let's be honest, not many of us can, just masking tape gently over your painted tiles. So do all of those lines first, and then take the masking tape off when it's dried and do all of those lines next. And you will end up with perfectly straight lines that will look like grouted tiles. And that is how to paint Mexican or any style tiles on a piece of wood. I will see you tomorrow.